Yeah. Trisha's from the
Queens Tribune.
Police Tribune.
Yeah, I'm a reporter at the Queens Tribune. Hello. You'd be surprised, but a very frequent phone call that I receive at my desk is I've been scammed by an apartment tenant, an apartment owner. That's happened a lot, and of course we've all heard about one very familiar case, and Mario Lopez happened, who's been arrested. But these things are happening a lot in Astoria because people are moving into Astoria because it's becoming a bigger community. What can we do to help, prevent these scammers and also educate the community to know when to actually give a deposit or not? Is there something that you have in mind?
Let's start in the middle and then work out. Yes?
Thank you for that question. Absolutely, something that can be done. As legislators, the city council has the right to actually introduce, adopt, and pass laws that will prevent scandals like this. There is no reason why this individual had the opportunity to scam, I could say almost 6, 7 dozen people easily in the community, and yet still go around and introduce himself as a real estate agent. What I would recommend is that once somebody's committed such a crime, that it becomes public knowledge. The Department of State should have on their site individuals that have been reported as scam artists. So this way the general public knows and to be aware that they don't become victims. So one very easy way that really doesn't need much, the state and the city can have on their website who the scam artists are.
Danielle?
I have to agree with Gus. That's a very good idea. What I also would like to say is that people have to be educated also and know that if this neighborhood, if it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. You know, introduce yourself then to the landlords. Don't rely on it. Don't rely on somebody you don't know. I know a lot of these people are coming from out of town. It's a little difficult. But with Gus's plan, that would actually help people to be able to maybe look them up if they're coming from out of town. A lot of Midwesterners are moving to Astoria, so you can't exactly expect them to come here and interview the people in person, or go meet the landlords, or walk around the neighborhood and talk to other people. So this is a good way, a very good way to educate people before they actually get to this neighborhood.
Astoria is an immigrant community. I immigrated from Eastern Queens, just like many other immigrants that have come to Astoria. One of the problems with that is that a lot of new immigrants who come in here, they look for an apartment, they get something sold to them right away, and they sign a lease, and they don't get what they're expecting. It is a scam, and I do think as city councilman, I would definitely reach out to the different cultural centers that are within Astoria. Make sure that they're informed about if you have friends, family, you know people, they're moving into the area, you're making sure that they say, look, you know what, we don't want you to get scammed, we want you to go through the proper channels. We want you to go to a certified, a licensed real estate agent or broker. I am a licensed real estate agent or real estate sales agent, but as city councilman, I guess I would be selling real estate. There are rules and regulations for real estate, so obviously the ones that are licensed are, could be at risk of being thrown in jail or fined, so, they abide by the law. So you want to make sure that people go through the proper channels and they're going through people who are licensed. But as an elected official, I would definitely reach out to a lot of the local community centers to make sure that if they know people, that they're informed, that they're aware that there's this issue of landlords that are scamming, that it's best to go through a licensed real estate agent than go directly to some of the homeowners, because you may be at risk of getting scammed in a situation like that.
Good.
I first moved to Astoria in 1994, almost 20 years ago. And at the time, there wasn't really internet. So I tour and coming around and visiting locations. In the years since, many of the apartments that I've personally found are through Craigslist. And so I think it's important to make sure that whatever process you set up, you're thinking about how people are going to find the information. If they're coming from out of town or they speak a different language, where they would go to find the information. They might go to the library to use a computer, in which case libraries are an excellent resource. They often post notices. They often hold public forums about many of these issues. There are many different diverse communities in Astoria. Often they have their own community centers, own networks, and it's important to make sure that the word gets out there. One of the jobs of the City Council member I've already mentioned is the idea of letting your community know what resources exist. And one way you do that is through town hall forums. It's through the information you send out in email newsletters, but also in print. You make sure that this information is provided in multiple languages. Yes, licensed real estate agents, if they are scammers, they should be reported, and we make sure that those agents are shut down. Many of the people who are being scammed, when I've read, are often going to situations where there's 3, 4, 5, 6 in a room. It's already an illegal apartment situation, and there is a process to shut down illegal apartment situations as well. So I think that for what we can do here in Astoria is to make sure that all the many people who want to live to this great, move to this great community, that they are aware of who they can and can't trust and what the proper avenues are. And that means making sure that we offer that information in multiple languages, in hard copy and online electronic versions. Thank you very much.
The individual you speak about was specifically on Craigslist doing this, and I think that's the problem. Everyone tries to save money, but you, like the other candidates have said, but you have to make sure you go to a licensed agent broker. Yet, ironically, in Astoria, we had a licensed agent on 31st Avenue who was taking people's money, doing the same thing that this guy did. In fact, he went further. He was taking their credit information, their dates of birth, taking out accounts, and so these things happen. This happens, believe it or not, it happens a lot in Manhattan. So it goes back to going to the right person. You wouldn't go, if you had an immigration problem, you wouldn't go to a fly-by-night office and expect them to deal with you properly. Mr. Maloney knows that. We can tell you stories of fraudulent businesses that promise illegal, whether legal or illegal immigrants, things they can't do. They take their money and do nothing. You wouldn't go to a plastic surgeon in Jackson Heights, a place to do plastic surgery, when you find out the person's not a licensed doctor, and expect them to do a procedure. And when it goes wrong, you say, oh, it went wrong. What am I to do? So you got to go to the proper individual. You go to a doctor when you have a medical problem, a licensed doctor. You go to a lawyer when you have a legal problem. You go to a real estate broker or agent when you have a real estate need. But today with the internet, like I said, with Craigslist, people try to save money. So you have these perpetrators saying no fees for apartment. That should click in your head. Plus there's rating systems too for agents. Thank you.
One thing Trisha, you did a great job writing about the story, letting the public know. So I want to commend you on that.